Alright, so I'm heading out for the day, and we're on our way to Shoreline Amphitheater in Mountain View, and I'm pretty excited. It's 7 in the morning, and we'll have to see what the parking is like when we get there. Alright, so just arrived. You can kind of see different Google buildings behind me. I've got my badge, and I'm walking over to Shoreline Amphitheater, and it's pretty close. I didn't want to park in the dirt lot just because I know when they push us all out at 2 p.m. it's going to be insane getting out of that parking lot. So I parked over near the offices, and it's a nice little walk. So you can kind of just see the new building that they're building. It's what I showed you guys yesterday. It's like a big tent. And then here you can see where it sort of transitions more into like nature. And we head that way, that's Shoreline Amphitheater. You can kind of see the tent at the end of that parking lot here. That's where we checked in yesterday. So I want to talk to you a little bit about what today's events are. The event is being held at Shoreline Amphitheater, which is an outdoor amphitheater that is near the main Google campus in Mountain View. As I understand, there are just under 2,000 attendees, most of whom will be Google employees. There are some groups represented, like developers and women tech makers, who are invited to join us. They have their own additional events held at tents that are set up around here. Today's program is the main event, which consists of a 2-hour consumer keynote followed by a 1-hour developer keynote. They've asked us to come in a little early to get breakfast and just to be ready for the live stream, which goes out to over 140 countries. So what you're going to see is that the breakfast is being served right now, as well as some pre-show performances that are coming up, followed by the seating in the bowl of the amphitheater. Following the consumer keynote, there will be a 15-minute break before the developer keynote. After the developer keynote, lunch will be served, and the event will conclude around 2 p.m. This is one of the most important events for Google every year, and it's a real treat to get to go after several years of being held virtually.
She was with us.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
No, she did not.
Yeah. No?
Neda got COVID.
Oh,
but
oh, yeah, that's right, because Neha said she... Sorry, yeah.
That makes my probably we can see us from the line.
future cannot be predicted. It will be invented.
Holy mackerel. It's impossible.
Fantastic speeds. 3, 2,
It's dramatically new.
And that's how the show started. We got a really good show this year. There were super cool announcements from across the company. Just like how when you're watching a movie, sometimes it's better to be in a theater with other people, live Google I.O. is different than the live stream. The energy is just infectious. What you don't hear in the live stream is that almost every time they announced a new feature or a product, people in the audience were oohing and eyeing. And it was just generally cool watching the announcements with the people who had worked on the products being announced for so long. There were cool new features for Google Maps and Android, and also brand new hardware. And the crowd had really great energy, and we were all just super excited to be back in person. Definitely a good show this year. And before I forget, I just wanted to show you where I sat. I had really good seats. Here's where I am.
Whatever surface is most convenient for what you want to do.
First phone powered by Google Tensor, a mobile compute platform.
We've heavily invested in this area. We've been building augmented.
And with that, the consumer portion was over. There was a 15-minute break before the developer show starts, so everyone rushed for the exits. We got little snack packs, and people wanted to walk around a little bit. We had all been sitting for about 2 hours, so it was a well-deserved break.
Endless possibilities that inspired me years ago to become a developer, and still gets inspiring.
Real-world performance. These improvements translate into faster experiences for you and your users.
And after lunch, it was time to leave and get back to work making next year's I.O. just as good as this year's. So yeah, that was a lot of stuff, and that's awesome. That's it's definitely a lot more than last year. We got to see the Pixel Watch, got to see the new Pixel 6a, got the Pixel tablet, which I'm really excited about. Hopefully we get to see more info about that soon. And I say that as like a diehard Apple iPad guy. I'm very interested to see what the Pixel hardware feels like on a tablet that's not the Pixel Slate, which we will pretend does not exist. Time to head back home and just digest. Now, during the event, I didn't want to film too much because there was a lot of people there and I didn't know what the filming policy was like, but it's very different in person. I feel like I've watched a lot of I.O.s and I've watched a lot of WWDCs, and being there, the energy is like way different. You kind of understand why people like every time they announce something small that people were like clapping, because like you want to clap. Like those are pretty exciting features, especially when you're there in person. You see them on stage getting demoed, and it just seems really incredible. So while we were there, got to meet a lot of people, and that's one thing I've really noticed about coming here to work at Google is that people are really, really friendly, which is awesome. And they know a lot about technology, which is really cool. But got to meet a lot of cool people who worked on the incredible products that we saw today. A lot of Android folk today. How do I get out of here? I think I'm going the right way. I hope I'm going the right way. So pretty much at little past 1, they ended the developer keynote and they said, all right, everyone go get your lunch and get out. But now we're gonna drive back. I was gonna drive to my office, but turns out I actually left my laptop at home. Now I'm pretty excited because it is tech event season. It's the summer season, so it's usually more dev events. There's a few more things coming on the pipeline, most notable of which is WWDC. I'm going to try to go. The lottery is tonight. We find out tomorrow if my registration went through. And if I go, I'll of course film it and share it with everyone. This year's WWDC is going to be a little bit different. They're doing an in-person event again. However, it's going to be like a one-day thing. It's going to be a little bit smaller. Getting out of this area is going to be real fun. And that was the event. Even if you aren't really into technology, I would highly recommend watching Google I/O and WWDC. They may not always be as shiny as the new iPhone launches, but they do show a lot of the long-term investments that engineers have put into building out technology. We got to see one project that was still in very early stages, where it was glasses that could help you translate visually and put captions underneath other people. And I thought that was so cool. It'll probably be a while before we see anything that we could buy, but it's neat watching the technology and the innovation move forward at these sort of longer developer-focused shows. I'll leave the link to Google I/O down below, and they're always a lot of fun to watch. Now, technically the events are not over. There is a day 2, which is completely virtually, which I will go ahead and check out, and maybe I'll make another video about it. So catch that to see what day 2 is like.